Hello, my name is Esko and I come from Estonia, and I would like to take this chance to thank the organizers of this event. And our project is quite a traditional project, which is habitat restoration project. And I will tell you a little bit about this habitat type first. And it is only found in 2 countries in Europe, in Estonia and in Sweden. So you're probably not very familiar with this. So what we are doing in our LIFE project is restoring calcareous grassland called alvar. And it is characterized with very thin soil layer, but with very high species richness. We have found more than 350 species on this habitat type, and 40 of them are mainly related to this habitat type. And it is 90% of it is in Europe, and mostly in Sweden and Estonia, and very tiny patches also in Finland. And the main issue with this habitat type is overgrowing, and with pine and juniper, which is causing quite a problem, as a juniper is also a protected species. So having an issue of invasive species being a protected species is quite difficult one, as historically it has been quite rare to cut down the species, as these areas were grazed and it was not causing a problem of being in excess. So what we have done, we started to prepare this project, and we realized that in a 5-year project to restore 2,500 hectares, we needed drastically to change our methodology, because historically the work of alvar restoration was done manually. So we looked to other projects that have done similar things. So we found a LIFE project carried out in Sweden, which was also very large scale. Several thousand hectares was restored. We undertook several study visits, learned how they have used the machinery to restore alvars on Öland Island in Sweden, and we transferred this technology to Estonia and adapted this to our situation. And we started a LIFE project in 2014 with a budget of 3.7 million euros. And as it's a priority habitat with 75% of financing rate, I would like to take a chance to acknowledge the LIFE project flexibility, as in our project 85% of the activities is concrete conservation action, and it is outsourced from our partners. LIFE rules actually state that this could be only 30%, but if you have a good case and you have a good idea for the project, it is always possible to adapt it to the LIFE rules. So we are happy with that, that we could still carry out our project. So what we do, our project planned to restore key areas in Estonia, historical areas on 2,500 hectares. This is a major undertaking in the European conditions, where usually LIFE projects restores several hundred hectares, not thousands of hectares of habitat. So this needed a big work with awareness raising, as part of this area is private land. So we included into our project 600 landowners, private landowners, more than 60 local farmers. So it's the communication part of this project is very huge. The main activities is tree and shrub removal. The initial state of the areas are 80 to 100% overgrown, and during the process of shrub and tree removal, the remaining amount of the trees and shrubs is about 10 to 30%. So we remove most of it. We have also major part of our project is dealing with the material, trying to find good solutions to use this material. Traditionally, it was used for handicraft. We are mostly using this for heating purposes for the local municipalities, and it's used up. It's been quite successful. So here you can see the comparison of traditionally this work was done by hand by the landowners. But in a situation where most of the landowners have moved to the cities, we have carried out this work mostly using machinery. And this has been very successful. When we started our project, it was not a common sight to see an excavator on a Natura 2000 site removing junipers in Estonia. And now it is, and it is proven to be very effective. We have not purchased any machinery from the LIFE project. We have actually used the machinery that is commonly in use, for example, for roadside clearings or forestry work. And we have adapted and worked out the techniques to carry out this grassland restoration work using this machinery. Here you can see how the restored areas differ from the ones that are overgrown. So the lighter patches are the cadastral units restored. As you can see, the picture is the whole area is divided into small plots owned by different landowners. For example, for this site, we have 50 landowners, different ones. So we need to negotiate with each one of them to be able to restore these grasslands. Here you can see the difference in manual work and machinery work. Where you cut the trees and shrubs manually, you have stumps left behind, which is not very pleasant for the animals who are grazing these areas after. When you use the machinery, the stump is almost disappeared. It is able to cut it so low that the area looks more like a grassland very much quicker than by doing it manually. Also, that time difference in doing the work manually is very much higher. We made a test using volunteers, restoring 1 hectare of alvar grassland manually for one person takes about 300 working hours. If you do it by machinery, using machinery, it's about 60 hours. So it's very much more effective. Also, the results are better, and the cost effectiveness compared to manual work, the cost of doing it manually is 40% higher than doing it by using machines. What we have done after working out this methodology, we have tried to spread using this methodology also to other habitat types. It has been picked up successfully by other projects carried out in Estonia, and also State Forest Management Center, who is responsible for the state land restoration. And we have carried out several practical trainings for the farmers and entrepreneurs. And Now it is quite common to use this technology also on wetland areas to remove reed, for example, also to restore other habitat grassland types in Estonia. So it has been very successfully transferred to other habitat types and also to other companies who carry out this work. Major part of our project is also to make sure that the situation of overgrown area is not returning. So on each site that we are restoring, we also equip with grazing infrastructure. So here are just some pictures of the gates and the watering facilities that we are placing on the restored areas for the farmers to carry on this work after the clearing. Otherwise, it takes only about 4 to 5 years for the shrubs and trees to grow back if the area is not managed as it was traditionally. The farmer trainings have been very successful and very much interest has been shown by the farmers. We initially planned to train about 50 farmers. Now we have trained almost 200 who have been working on alvar restoration. So thank you very much. Here is our Facebook page, and we are also participating on Natura 2000 award selection this year on the conservation category. So have a look on the Life website as well. So thank you very much.
Hvala. Imamo jedno pitanje. Nevene.
Thank you. I was wondering, once the grazing is done, is the alvar self-standing and sustainable throughout the years, or do you need human intervention to maintain it as such?
You need constant human intervention. The grasslands to stay open from the junipers and pines, it needs annual grazing, and it is in Estonia it means from May to September, and it needs to be carried out every year. So in our interest is to involve local farmers who also need this land in order to feed their cattle or sheep. So it has to be regulated from the local level, otherwise it would not be sustainable. So they use it to produce meat, basically.
So there is no extra economic benefit apart from the byproduct used then for the cattle?
Yes.
How big herd should be for, I don't know, 1 hectare to maintain, to keep it alvar?
Yeah, it is not very high productivity areas, so we have considered to be 1 animal unit per hectare, so it means 1 cattle or up to 5 sheep per 1 hectare.
So how can your project was on 1,500 hectares, right?
2,500.
2,000.
Yeah.
So that's 2,500 cows.
Yes.
And how many farmers are involved in the project?
60 farmers.
Okay, thank you.
And we don't buy any cattle or sheep from the project. That the cattle and sheep who is grazing these areas belongs to the local farmers.
Just one more question. So that cattle was bought after the area was cleared, or how were they? How did you manage to get the herd big enough to?
Basically, what we have done, because this area, 2,500 hectares, is distributed between 25 sites. So before we started to remove the shrubs and trees, we found a local farmer, signed a contract with the local farmer, taking obligation that he will bring his cattle or sheep there and graze this area at least 10 years from starting of cutting the trees and shrubs. So we signed this agreement, and then we started with the restoration work. So the local farmer provides the animals. Mostly they already are grazing areas nearby and they are expanding. We have 4 new farmers as well who have started with the project, but most of them are existing farmers already active in the area.
So you did not have to help farmers to
To
buy a new cattle or something?
there is a national fund available to buy if they are short of, but we didn't buy any from the LIFE project. But there is opportunities for them to apply for, but it's I think it's 85% is, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Imamo još jedno pitanje, još 2.
Thank you. What's obligation of the farmers which use this area, which you told that you get them for 30 years or something. What's obligation of the farmers for this land?
Yes, we had actually, when we started this project, Commission asked us to sign that contracts for 30 years. But we negotiated with the Commission, and as many of the landowners and farmers are already middle-aged, it is very difficult to sign a 30-year contract. So we come to a mutual agreement that 10 years would be enough. Of course, we are trying to make sure that the activity will continue after the 10-year contract is finished. But at the moment, the farmer takes 10-year obligation to continue the management of this area. Also, I will add that these areas, after restoration, are eligible for agri-environmental subsidy from the CAP. So they will receive extra income from the subsidy when they are grazing these areas.
Because I'm from a financial institution, I want to ask you, did you have some financial corrections in your project?
No. No, we everything that we asked in our initial project, we received. And we have, at the moment, we are on the 4th year, and we have planned the budget quite well, so we didn't have to make any corrections.
So this is the key?
Yes. Planning. Good planning is the key.
Thank you.
Još koje pitanje? Nemamo više pitanja. Thank you.
Thank you.